What is running culture? How does it work? What is appearance?
If you work or if you start working with a brand, educate them.
Before kicking off a project, you first of all have to basically give them a deep dive.
So many brands popping into, they come in, buy some merchandise, put their big logo on, and it all looks like If you're a brand and if you have budget to spend, super happy that we're here, and what is better than listening to two German dudes doing a podcast in English? Eugen, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So, we're recording today live an episode of the New Trend Society podcast. And as we're now a big and great and international agency, we have to do it in English. So thanks for your patience and thanks for learning with us. You can cancel your Duolingo subscription right now. We will provide everything.
It's just gonna get worse.
Eugen, we met 2 years ago when you were laying in the grass. I was golfing with Paul Ripke. And you had a good time, like just laying around all day long. What happened?
I ate an edible Paul gave me, and I was basically spectating in a golf cart, and it was funny. I didn't play. I just basically spectated.
Just participated. So today we want to talk a little bit about marketing, about branding, but most of all about the amazing brand you built. Kraft Runners. When I heard it the first time, I was like, Kraft, what's that? And like, okay, I know a couple of run clubs, but when I joined my first run with Kraft Runners in Leipzig, there was an insane energy. It was so wide, it was a great community, and please tell us the story. How did it all start, and how did you grew that to the biggest running community in Germany with more than, I think, like 15 run clubs every week in different cities, one in the United States. How did it all start?
It's 13 at the moment, so it's 10 in Germany, 2 in Austria, and 1 in Los Angeles. And so you should visit there as well. Basically, everything happened without a plan. Everything was an accident, let's call it. And we started doing it in 2015, 16, so way before the hype, way before COVID.
Way before running was cool.
Well, we started to, this was basically the idea too, because it was, so back in the day we were pacers at Nike. You should or can expect a pacer to be someone pacing, so this is basically the people in front who is holding a box, taking a look at the watch and basically checking the pace, so that's hence the word. And Nike, so we were Nike Pacers, and then Nike didn't fund the project anymore. So everything switched from physical events to digital, and we were basically stranded, a few guys, mid and 20s in Berlin, and we were thinking, how is it not possible to visit or just to meet somewhere and go running with like-minded people? This was basically impossible. And the only things which were there were clubs, German clubs, eingetragener Verein, Uwe's, Jürgen's, people like that in like their mid-40s, and everything is like very structured. You have a training plan, and when you were just interested in running on the street, this wasn't really possible.
You also have to pay your membership fee, your Mitgliedsbeitrag, very important.
Mitgliedsbeitrag, maybe you're the Schatzmeister sometimes. So this is the German club structure, and because this is kind of wasn't really the zeitgeist back then, because you just wanted to run. You didn't want to have any structure. You didn't want to meet up. You didn't want to speak about your Vereinssatzung, stuff like this. You just wanted to run. So we said, well, let's find a time, find a place, and meet on the street. And this was basically every Tuesday, 7 p.m. We met at Café Kraft, hence the name. Basically, it's from a friend of mine whom I've started the whole thing with. And then we started running. And then we met with a few friends, and then we were 5. The week after we were 7. Then we were 50 and 60 and so on and so forth. And basically nowadays it's, well, sometimes you just go with the flow, and then there's a brand who's interested in basically doing an event with you. Then you do an event, then another brand comes up and you have an old idea and yada yada, and then now I'm sitting here in Hamburg with you.
That's a great story. So when you do these events, I talk to a lot of brands, and they always ask me like, what's a good practice? What accounts should we follow? Who can we watch? Where can we get some inspiration? And I always say Kraft. Just because you do so many fun activations, you keep it easy and very also a lot of UGC content, right? Not only the high-end videos or so. It's like often like you with your iPhone doing fun stuff or so, but you do so many different things. Just now for the half marathon in Berlin, you released a fashion drop, Scuderia Kraft. And it's basically, you guys all know the CI of Ferrari, right? The Ferrari Formula One team. And they just kind of like stole the design and made it their own, right? Or did you get any
We
IP
didn't steal anything.
license?
We didn't steal anything.
Okay, you adapted?
We adapted, but
Okay.
I hope still, knocking on wood, that no lawyer is going to text us someday, because obviously we weren't allowed to do like maybe some copycatting. But yeah, taking it from running every week with 5 or 6 or 7 people to nowadays that brands are interested in the bubble, the running bubble, because it's a hype, and brands are interested in communities. And when they come, they usually want what you just mentioned. So user-generated content, they want authenticity and stuff like this. And as a run club who is just basically running every week, it's really tough to be a bit more creative. So you come up with ideas maybe, or try to be creative. And this is what we came up with a few years ago, that we realized in Berlin, there's a Berlin half marathon in April, there's the marathon end of September. It's quite the international events. It's very important to be visible, and that's what brands also want to be visible, especially during these occasions.
So if you had to choose between like weekly events or 2 lighthouse events per year, what would you do? You can only choose one.
Weekly.
Why?
Because consistency is better and bigger than hype. And if you are consistent and you basically like what you're doing and you don't do it for the hype or do it for the hype of a weekend, for example, then this basically will stick. You need a longer breath, of course, but I'm pretty sure that this is a better choice.
I totally believe in the same thing. Like nowadays, I feel a lot of people want to just jump on the hype. They see, oh, social media is cool. I want to be an influencer. I want to be a content creator. I want to start a run club or all that, right? And I was in New York a couple of weeks ago. There's a run club called Pitch and Run Club, and they're doing it since 9 years, right? And there are other similar to you guys, right? And there are other run clubs around that are also like around forever. And it doesn't matter if you're in sports, running or so, or in content creation. People like Gary Vaynerchuk, Alex Hormozius, so they did content forever. 6-7 years before they had their first viral video. And I believe this persistence is so crucial. And if you guys are starting right now, have a little bit of trust in yourself and just keep going for a couple of years, right? It's not about like just doing it like for a couple of weeks and then it doesn't work and you're gonna quit, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think a very crucial point is to mention that in Germany we have the word Schadenfreude. Yeah, it only exists here, but we also have a Neidkultur, which is basically
envy. Yeah,
envy, exactly. And basically, you only see the result of, let's say, Berlin Half Marathon, Scuderia Kraft. So basically, what we did is we came up with a campaign with a few colors and thought, how can we spice it up? How can we spice up the weekend, which makes it a bit more interesting rather than it's just about people running for, what was it, 21.1 kilometers. And you basically start to be creative, and what people see, especially in Germany, if they maybe don't know you and they see this very weekend and they say, obvious. This is so obvious, this is so easy, why basically you can do it ourselves. And I think it's really crucial to think about the past. So every brand had a past. No one just pops up and then they're very creative and very successful. They all have a past. They all had their ups and downs, and basically it's the same for us, and I guess it's the same for you as well. So it's not your first event, and suddenly it's full of and packed with people.
We had a lot of events, and I just met one guy who was at one of our events a while ago, and only 5 people showed up. So this happens, and but this is just part of the process. I mean, it's a little bit unlucky if you expect 200 people to come and if just 5 people show up. But it's especially if you put a lot of money into that project and you rent the location and all that. But let's say if it's just a dinner, sometimes it's way more worth if there are just like 10 or 15 or 20 selected people than 100 people you don't have the chance to talk to, right? So, but yeah, failure is part of the process.
And I would even frame it as expectation management, right? So if you expect 100 people and they like 10 people only show up, then you obviously you don't think it's a success. But if you don't expect much, and then it's basically always successful. Like going on a date, don't expect anything. It's going to be fun. If you expect to be having found your love of your life, then maybe it's going to be a failure.
So if she shows up, that's already a win.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Let's break it a little bit down. How to get your deals with your love brands. And I think step 1 is do something that really stands out and that is really cool, that you are passionate about and that you really love. And you are one of the most crazy people I know in terms of sports. Can you tell us a little bit about your past endeavors? You did a couple of ultra marathons. You did just one recently. What was the wildest adventure? Why are you doing this? And just let us be part of the process.
It all goes back to 1988 when I was born. No, but basically, I think for me, I started running I was a bit chubby after Abitur, after high school, and I just wanted to lose a few kilos.
Now it's way better.
No, thank you, it worked. And so I kept on going during my studies because it was just it was a good way of just letting go and just restructuring whatever I had on my mind. And so I'm living in Berlin now for 10 and a half years, and since then I've been running a lot. And basically what I realized is that it helps me be way more positive, and it helps me to be more social and to be less negative, and so on and so forth. And basically over time, also with this run club and this running bubble, I realized that I meet a lot of people. I meet a lot of interesting people, and especially at one point when you run for a few years, I don't know how many people are running here once a week at least. I see at least 150 people. That's great. But basically, let's say...
we're at OMR, it's all hipsters, right?
But let's say it was a third. And I guess for you, it's not a competitive way of just exercising. It's rather after work, maybe on the weekend, just to feel better. And if you do it not only once a week, but maybe 3 times a week, maybe you do competitions as well. At one point, and that's how it was for me, at one point I realized I had quite a good time on the marathon. And from there, I had to not choose, but I realized either I train even harder to become even faster, or I just increased the mileage. So I just started to do ultras, and I started with like 50K, and then 60K, and then 70K, and now I'm still a bit tired. That's what you asked me how I'm doing, and I arrived here and I said I'm fucking tired because last week I did a 123-kilometer Madeira ultra trail with 7,000 meters of altitude difference, and it is a mind game. And the longer it is, the longer you basically fight against yourself, because it's not a physical problem you have, because your body basically is a wreck after 30 kilometers already. And from there, it's basically just a mind game, and that's what I like.
How's your strategy there? Like when you run 123 kilometers, are you doing it in a row, or do you take a break in between, take a nap?
The longer the bigger the breaks, the longer it takes to reach the finish line. So you basically try to do the less breaks you have, the better. And the strategy is to eat a lot of gels, I guess, and just keep on going.
So, and if you run double the speed, you just need like half the time, kind of, right?
That's math. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
That's math. And reality is really different.
What's the thing about potatoes? I heard a lot of ultramarathon runners eat potatoes just before the start.
Good carbs. It's good carbs. It's no gluten, and I think so. We can go really deep here. I don't know if it's interesting, but basically, when you
Let's go down that rabbit hole.
oh, well, fair enough. Okay, so when you have a competition on a weekend, you stop basically eating fiber some days before, and you start increasing your intake of carbohydrates because you want to have basically you want to fill up all the energy you can have and you can save for the race itself. And the longer the run, the more important it is. Not that deep.
Pretty easy, huh? Okay, so first step is done. You are a great person. You do some fun stuff, and for you it's kind of like the ultra marathons. What's the next step to get a big brand deal?
I think it's not chasing big brand deals, but doing stuff on your own which you like and which is creative and crazy enough that other brands then are interested to be collaborating with you on. For example, the Scuderia Kraft idea, basically we worked on this for half a year and we basically copied, not entirely, but like visually, we took a look at how Formula One looked like in the 90s. So Michael Schumacher, Marlboro as a sponsor, Shell, so like nothing you could do today, but we basically took our pieces, then
and everybody had their onesie in red, and it looked like you do like the what's it called, the
pit stop.
Pit stop,
Pit
right?
stop, yeah.
It looked like you do the pit stop, and the runners come in and they get fueled up, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, because we thought, well, during a half marathon, if you ran it, you need the energy from the street, and the bigger the energy on the street, the better you run. That's a fact, exactly, and. So we thought about a runner who is approaching what we call cheering zone. So there's a lot of people cheering, standing there, there's music, there's beers, and a lot of people are going crazy. And as a runner, you really, really look forward to this very moment because you think, so we are standing at kilometer 18 from 21, and you really think about, man, if I just make it until kilometer 18, then the last 3 are just a piece of cake. And that's when we thought we need to give back some energy from the cheering zone. And as a runner, if you stop, you take energy. And then we came up with the idea, that's a pit stop. And so you basically stop, you get fueled up, and then you keep on running. And from this, we transferred it to a real pit stop. So we produced some overalls with Kraft, which looked like Marlboro. So again, knocking on wood that nobody sues us.
I think Marlboro are they still around?
I guess.
Would be a weird collab, huh?
Would be a weird collab, indeed. But we did look up we did look up what was prohibited and what not, and this was definitely prohibited. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And from this, we didn't earn any money during that weekend. We did sell some merch, we did a collection, some crew necks, and so on and so forth. But the idea was not to earn a lot of money, but the idea was to show how creative you can get during such a weekend. And I think the more you concentrate on this rather than okay, how can we make acquisition? How can we get as many deals as possible? But you switch it and you rather focus on output, then ideally brands will come and will think, hey, this is what you did here. It was really creative and really nice. We want to make something similar maybe.
Let's talk a little bit about visual language. As Kraft Runners grew, you always need content from the different run clubs in Hamburg, Stuttgart, Munich, everywhere. And of course, you are kind of like one of the faces or the main face. But, sorry, how do you make it happen that the visual identity keeps the same because everybody does their stuff different. They hire different photographers, videographers. Everybody has a different LUT and all this stuff. Like, but in the end, if I look up your Instagram channels, it still looks pretty consistent.
I wouldn't say it's consistent, honestly, but we make it look like it's consistent. Because I wouldn't focus on the perfect LUT, so everything looks like your brand identity, because reality is, especially if you work with a community or within a community, then there's different looks by nature. Yeah, and you can't really force people to send them your LUT or your preset and then say, please, photographer XYZ, please export your photos in this look. I think the idea is to focus or realize what is really crucial. So what is crucial, how content will look like on your, for example, Instagram channel, like what are the colors, what is the brand identity or corporate identity rather, and not what is the perfect LUT and how should the composition look like of running pictures. It still is quite a challenge, and it never ends, basically, to receive content from different locations on the one hand. On the other side, because we're speaking from a community perspective, everyone wants to be seen. Everyone who runs in every city, we have roughly like 800 to 1,000 people running weekly. Everyone, I would say maybe 80% would like to be seen when they run a PB or when they participate.
So it's about appreciation and recognition of the whole community.
Exactly, and to give everyone a space is basically impossible because you can only post so much, and that's why for like half a year since half a year we have a community manager, Paul, who is basically responsible for this very topic. So he's chatting with everyone, he's there, he's available, and basically appreciating everyone who is running with us and not giving as much appearance and visibility on our channel, because this is just simply impossible.
Okay, understood. So now I really want to get the brand deals, right? And I know you work with big brands, with Lululemon, with Samsung Galaxy. First step was do something crazy, run an ultramarathon. Second step was think in terms of output and do a passion project where you don't make too much money or don't make money at all. It's just about like do something crazy and amazing and create value for the community. Third thing is, when can I build this?
So first of all, I wouldn't say that the first bullet was even necessary, because of course me running ultramarathons gives me personally credibility, and also kind of the credibility swaps over to Kraft Runners as well. But I wouldn't say this is necessary. I could even be someone who's just interested in running but not be a very crazy runner myself. I think a really big role, and this is a big advantage for us personally, or for us as a brand and as a community, is that running became such a hype since a few years that basically you can do, quote unquote, whatever you do, and it's regardless what you do, because you are in this bubble, in this running bubble. Brands are just interested because brands want to happen in the running bubble, and like the amount and the different types of collaborations I've seen over the last 1 or 2 years is sometimes a bit off, but it works because everybody wants to have a place.
Yeah, I believe the same. There's a lot of opportunity for brands because they want cultural recognition. They want to be relevant in their audience and all that. And it's so tough to be that if you don't understand the whole culture. And I want to talk to you about that in a second. But first of all, like, I see so many brand collaborations or so many brands popping into runs, marathons and all that. And what mostly happens is they come in, buy some merchandise, put their fucking big logo on, and it all looks like shit, right? And it's like over-branded. And I think if you're a brand and if you have budget to spend, think about it twice how big the logo has to be. I mean, if there are graphic people around us, there's the meme kind of like make the logo bigger, which is what the client most of the time wants. But if the logo is just very small, or if there's no logo at all, this is what, in my opinion, creates the most credibility and actually also the most, the best numbers for the whole project.
Yeah, but for this you need trust, right? And for trust you need someone who is responsible in a brand, working from a brand, and also kind of getting the twist, like what is running culture? How does it work? What is appearance? Is it really necessary to put a big logo on? And the experience we have made over the last couple of years is that if you work with brands or agencies who have really no clue how running works, how they should show up and such, then you first of all, before kicking off a project, you first of all have to basically give them a deep dive, like what are run clubs? How do you run? What is cool? What is not cool? Like because everybody or every brand does what every other brand does, and every collaboration is basically vanilla. They are all the same, especially if you take a look at a race weekend. It's all the time, it's a Saturday there's a shakeout, then there's a boring pasta party or something like that. On a Sunday, then it's a race, and maybe you've got an after party on Sunday evening. That's it. And especially these shakeout runs, they're just a marketing activity, basically. Like everyone from the community is kind of annoyed, I think, by it, because you can't really choose from. So taking a look back for a half year, during the Berlin Marathon, there were only Saturday, not even Friday included, only Saturday, 24 shakeout runs in the city. And how can you decide where to go? Because there's a drop here, there's a drop there. Here you get a freebie. Oh, there's the brand actually I like to run with. Oh, here's some people. Here are some friends I like to see. And I would basically have to start explaining why you do what you do. And if you have, on the other hand, someone in a brand sitting there and is actually a runner, him or herself, then you basically can start it off right away. And this is different, for example, for Lululemon, because obviously they're partly a running brand as well. For Samsung, on the other hand, this is different because they don't come from running, they come from tech, and they do all kinds of stuff, but not running. So the onboarding or the kickoff of the project is quite bigger and takes up way more energy.
I think that there are a lot of takeaways here, so thank you so much for sharing that. Like one thing is like definitely if you start, and I know there are also a lot of agencies or content creation people in our audience. If you work or if you start working with a brand, educate them. Like tell them, hey, this is what usually happens. These are the mistakes we want to avoid. If it comes to a brand collab or if it comes to some content creation, it's the same, right? I agree on that. If it's event activation or a pre-event or so, it's also the same with content. The brand they always want a highlight video. They always want some snippets. They always want some stuff which looks nice for the board or for their boss, but they don't want to try new stuff. So that's why most of the time content goes back to what really works, and this is why the deliverables looks the same since 5 years. It's a highlight video, it's a cut down reel, it's 50 photos of this, 30 photos of that, and that's it. So I think we all should think twice and rethink the whole content strategy. What can we do different, right? Like, and I think there are some examples of that. One of the most remarkable is like definitely, who of you guys remembers Fire Festival? Remember, what do you guys remember about that?
It was fake.
Fake? but do you remember how the Instagram feed looked like? Yeah, it was just the orange teal. It was just the post of the color orange. And everybody was wondering, like, what's going on there, right? Like, what's that? And then some famous influencers posted that just orange photo. And I think this broke a lot of rules, not only in terms of event operations, but also in terms of social. And so if you want to do something new, like try what wouldn't be obvious.
I agree, but also I think, I mean, we've spoken about failure as well, but you can only try so much until you like not exist anymore. And I think you should try in these cases where it's not really crucial or very important. So if you have a brand collaboration, obviously you wouldn't try something really crazy. But that's why it's really comfortable to not be dependent, in our case, on brand collaborations. I mean, on one hand side, we are dependent. On the other hand, we can do our own events where it's independent what decisions we make. And so it's nice to be creative, and if you fail, then you say, well, I don't give a fuck. I just keep on doing whatever I'm doing, and you still have collaborations on the other hand where you can basically play the safe card. I think it is really challenging nowadays, especially with AI, to be not only creative but also finding something that works, because content output has never been so easy like nowadays. And so you don't really, I cannot follow even the content which is happening in this very niche of the running bubble itself. So taking a look at a weekend of the London Marathon, for example, let's say there's 20 brands, and so much is happening during these 2 or 3 days that I can't even keep track of. And if I can't even keep track of, although I'm working, and basically this is not only my passion and my hobby, but also my workplace in this bubble, then how can you keep track of anything else and really be patient enough to see the like new and innovative content as well?
Yeah, I like to phrase it that way, like memorable content. So, and if we think back of the last 7 days, like let's do the game. Like think back of the content you consumed the last 7 days, like everything you watched on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. Is it like one piece that stood out, or can you remember one reel you watched today? Probably one. One. Okay. But most of the time you forget of it. When I woke up today, I scrolled 20 minutes on Instagram and I don't remember one thing. So I think we really have to make sure we create something that's really memorable.
I agree, and basically I think this is a challenge, right? Especially if you're a new brand. And what annoys me personally is once I get sucked into whatever content hype there is. So for example, at one point I was just seeing videos of, hey, I'm like 16 and I do drop shipping and I'm earning 100K a week, and I'm like, first of all, how the fuck is this possible? Second of all, I don't want to see this. Like, I want to do honest work, and also this is all bullshit bingo anyhow. But once you take a look at these kind of videos for not, maybe you don't scroll after 3 seconds, but you take a look for 5 seconds or 10 seconds, then you're in this bubble and then you don't see anything else. And this is what kind of annoys me. And this is why personally I think, for me at least, YouTube is way more interesting, because that's exactly what you say. Instagram is so, and I don't even consume TikTok, but Instagram is so fast-paced. So whatever you've seen an hour ago, this is not relevant anymore. And on YouTube, on the other hand, you really make a decision to watch something for 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes. And I think this is, for me personally, this is where I want to consume content rather than doom scrolling on my way from the train station here and not actually taking a look at the city itself.
What's your favorite YouTube channel?
Now you've got me. I just started, honestly.
Do you remember any cool video you saw recently?
I'm a nerd by nature, and have you heard of Veritasium?
No, who said?
It's nerd content about basically physics and maths and some. It's really interesting if you're into it. Honestly, you should try it, but it goes really deep.
Please send it over. Like I watch a lot of weird stuff on YouTube. Like 2 weeks ago, I watched a video with my wife about the whole breakdown of the California water system. A guy went on Google Maps for 90 minutes and went the whole way of the aqueduct, where the water starts and where it goes and all that. So if you have any questions about the LA water system, please let me know. We can talk later. And another thing that I'm really interested in is I love outdoor content. I love the guy Outdoor Boys. If you haven't seen him, it's amazing guy who goes to Alaska, goes camping there, minus 20 degrees, just with a blanket or so. Like he's survival master. And I recently watched a video of a guy. His name is Ed Pratt, and he canoed. He did the length of the River Thames in England with a canoe from source to sea. So I thought like that's pretty good. I think you should use YouTube also with your runs. I would watch it.
There's a video coming tomorrow, I think.
Oh, nice. Well, how long is that?
20 minutes from the Berlin Half Marathon.
Amazing. Who's gonna watch it? Okay. Everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody raise hands.
Thank you. What a crowd.
Like and subscribe. All right.
It's just 20 minutes, guys. Come on.
Before we come to an end, I just want to talk a little bit more about connecting in general. And as most people here going to the conference tomorrow, you're a great person who knows how to meet people with running through sports and all that. And how do you overcome the fear of like just talking to random people?
I would say it depends on the occasion. And also, if I'm, for example, if I'm partying, it's way easier because I think once you've done it 5 or 10 times, then it's quite easy to connect. On a conference, on the other hand, it's quite a different dynamic because obviously on the one hand side, people are interested in getting in touch. On the other hand, everyone is having so many conversations and it's hard to get remembered, right? Because only if you just say hello that it doesn't mean anything. I'm really interested in just making jokes, and that's basically how you stick, I think. So
you'd say like standing out in a very weird handshake or like scream also that people remember your name?
I don't know.
Hey, I'm Benny. What's up?
That will stick, I guess. Pretty sure.
Try it.
No, I think even small things. If someone says, "Hey, I'm Nico," and then you ask a question, is it with a C or with a K? And then suddenly you're being remembered because you're interested in how you write the name, and you have an Eselsbrücke to remember the name. And maybe then it's a weird handshake that you have to ask to do it again because it was just, I don't know, small and sweaty, and you slipped like this. I don't know. It helps.
Brad Pitt, he has a very interesting way of shaking hands. You want to see it?
Please.
So he does this, and then he kind of like tickles your what's that called? Like the Coke triangle.
Someone's experienced. Also, if you give a hug and you do the same with the thumb, and you just you massage a bit.
Okay,
that's the stuff.
This is getting too far here. Okay, guys, I want to wrap it up, but just want to give you guys the opportunity to ask some questions. So, are there some questions from the audience? Something you want to ask Eugen in terms of content, in terms of marketing, in terms of running?
How the YouTube channel is going to be called?
Yeah.
You feel free.
Yeah.
Feel free. Bitte.
Yeah, please introduce yourself, first name and your question.
Hi, my name's Letizia. So my question would be: did you already also did some like cold contacting for brands, or just were the brands just coming to you? Because I mean, it's of course the perfect outcome, but not always reality. So
I think the big advantage of social media is that if you do a lot of content and if you're really visible, then brands see it, and then this is basically the kind of acquisition what you do, only a passive one maybe. We did do it a few times. It worked one time very well with New Balance actually, and the other times it wasn't successful. But only I'd say the reason for it most of the times is that it needs to be aligned. So whatever you ask, it needs to be in alignment with the brand's strategy. So they need to have budget. It needs to be in alignment of their mission, vision, strategy, projects, whatever they're currently having. And to find that sweet spot. Also regarding timing, this is very challenging, I think, but possible.
Nice. Any other questions?
Hi, I'm Kim. It's a little bit connective to the first question, but do you get like really strict brand guidelines from time to time when you do collaborations? And if yes, do you know a good way out?
That's a very good question because I hate brand guidelines. Especially, I hate the scenario of so I also earn money on Instagram by myself. So regardless, apart from Kraft Runners, and I hate it when brands come along and they say, "Hey, we really like your content. this is the brief. Please say that in this order. Here's the script, and this is not reality. Also, this doesn't work. So basically, it's a lot of education. What Benny said as well. So it's you're the expert. So if you're the expert, it's on you to explain why you do what you do and explain also your way out. So currently, also the projects we're having right now, it's a lot of brand guidelines, and we always try to explain why we do it, why we are not doing anything, what they basically hope or expect, and also we give reasons. So it's not just saying no, but it's basically about communication, like in every good partnership.
Nice. One last question.
Hi, I'm Jen, and I would like to know if there is any one love brand that you would still love to work with. Maybe someone of us can help you with.
Oh, good question. I thought about it before coming here, like what would be a really nice collaboration for us, and I wouldn't say it's a big brand. I would rather say it needs to be culturally relevant. And for this to happen, it needs to be in Berlin. And then I thought about the connection, not where we come from, but basically where our interest is. And it's the combination of running and partying, or especially, club culture, let's say. And having a collab with like Kraft Runners and Sisyphus, or Kraft Runners and Berghain, this would be dope. So if there is anyone knowing someone how to skip the queue, imagine you do a long run and then you do a second long run inside.
Sounds good. I want to put one other brand on my bucket list. I would love to work with Lufthansa. So if somebody's there, I think somebody at the event signed up who did branding for Lufthansa. Somebody here? Okay, I gonna find that person later. I'm more pushy there. I'm really tracking these people down. All right. Eugen, thank you so much. That was amazing. Guys, if you want to listen more of our podcast, New Trend Society, there's weekly episodes coming. We have a lot of fun guests right now and up and coming. One of the biggest social media agencies in the US, she's coming next week. We already had the CMO of Hugo Boss. We had the VP brand and marketing of BMW, award-winning directors. Our good friend Paul Ripke was on. So check it out on newtrendsociety.com/podcast. Thanks again for coming.